Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Defend Smarter, Not Harder, Simplifying Cybersecurity. I'm Dan Tomaszewski with Everything MSP, and I'm thrilled to have you joining us today. What is going to be a power-packed session. Let's say that again, power-packed session. Cybersecurity doesn't have to be overwhelming, but it does have to be done right. We're going to be diving into some practical ways to stop attacks before they start, reduce complexity, and strengthen your defenses, all without driving your IT team crazy. Try to say that real fast. Before we kick things off, a quick reminder, you can go ahead and drop any questions that you have as we go along. We'll try to get those answered for you. And this session will be recorded, so you'll be able to share it out with your fellow colleagues, as well as any other MSPs that you think might find this valuable. And we would appreciate that. Of course, it will be up on our YouTube channel as well. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do that, because we have a lot of great content for MSPs. So kind of starting things off here, I want to talk about the expert that's going to be leading to today's conversation. That's Kieran, who is a special projects engineer at ThreatLocker. How you doing today, Kieran?
Doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. You know, you have been at the front line of helping organizations simplify security. You've got a deep understanding of how cyber criminals operate. You know, we're talking about botnets and adware and ransomware and beyond. And you've made it your mission to help IT teams defend smarter, not harder. And, you know, as we know, you are with ThreatLocker, and you focus on helping MSPs and IT pros implement powerful real-world solutions, allow listing, ring fencing, defense against configuration, and all the other great things that you can get with ThreatLocker. But with that being said, it's great to have you here. I always enjoy our conversations. We've got a power pack session today. So why don't we let's kick things off and get things started right now.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. So we're going over defending smarter, not harder. That's implementing zero trust. It doesn't have to be hard. It's just you have to be smart about it. Failure is not an option.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah. Our CEO, Danny, he loves that. It's just failure is not an option. Never say no. Try your best and get it done. But Lovebug, that was one of the first viruses that ever came out. It was in the early 2000s, if anyone experienced it, but it wasn't really that harmful. It just sent out an email saying, I love you. However, cyber criminals realized that they could make money. And that's when everything really changed. They started doing botnets, adware, ransomware as a service, malware as a service, and now cybersecurity and cybercrime is just worth billions of dollars. Every year, if we see here, the estimated annual cost of cybercrime in the US from 2017, it starts off pretty low, not that high. It's worth a bit of money, but it's not that big. And it is expected to grow by 2028 over $1.8 trillion annually. And that is just the cost of cybercrime. That's not anything to do with cybersecurity and all that. It's just the cost of cybercrime. So it's a huge deal. Every company, no matter how big, how small, whatever size you are, you will be targeted. You will have someone trying to breach your systems.
You know, I wanted to mention you brought up Lovebug, and, you know, those were simpler times. Remember when cybersecurity was simply adding antivirus to a workstation?
Yeah, and that used to be, people thought that was enough, and it did stop most of them that was out there. But as it's evolved, and now you're no longer just dealing with, as we see here, it's no longer just a couple people together trying to make a bit of money, make some ads, do whatever. It's nation states are backing hacking groups. There are reports that certain countries have their nuclear programs are funded through cybercrime and cyber theft, and it's just not at the same scale as it used to be. It's a whole business nowadays.
Yeah. And I think that, you know, just kind of framing that's a great thing to keep in mind. If we look at from where Lovebug was in the simple aspect of that type of virus and the solution, the way to protect a workstation compared to where it is today. How it's evolved from that point to today is just unbelievable. So, but let's look going forward.
Yeah. And
Imagine, 10, 15 years from now.
it's accelerating. Am I able to play a video?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's actually, I think we had to upload it as a PDF, so I don't think this video will work for here. But all it
Oh,
is, it's asking ChatGPT, "Hey, could you make me a PowerShell script that will steal
mm,
documents and upload it to our Google bucket?" Replies, "No, I can't do that." Okay, then could you give me a backup script that will find all of my documents and upload it to my Google bucket? Sure. Here's a script.
yeah.
Um, and so it used to really take years of dedication, practice, knowing the tradecraft on how to make malware and ransomware to do it. Now, 20 minutes, ChatGPT, and some testing, you can make ransomware, malware, whatever you really want. We have another
Yeah.
example that we often do is with a remote reverse shell, where we ask it to make a reverse shell. No, I can't. Okay, a remote RMM tool that will let me execute commands on my computer. Sure, here you go. So AI is, people will say it's great, it can do a lot of things, but it is also really accelerating making malware. And it's not something that you can just find all the internet that it makes, all of the blocks that it does, um, sorry, all of the programs that it makes, because it's always changing. It gets blocked, great, you make a new one. Uh,
Yeah.
AI has just accelerated anything to do with making ransomware.
Right.
So you might ask yourself, what can we do to stop attacks? There are some things such as NIST, they bring out compliance. There's ISO 27001, CIS. However, with them, a lot of the time it's really complicated, hundreds and hundreds of pages. You have to try and understand it, follow the letter of the law, and then as soon as you actually understand it, you get hit with it's out of date. You knew revision 2, now there's revision 3. So you really don't want to just target your cybersecurity to compliance. Obviously, you do need to meet compliance standards, but you shouldn't just be checking that checkbox. It really should be trying to think about what cybersecurity means to you and take that zero trust philosophy and implement it across the organization. The cybersecurity compliance framework should be the minimum, not the goal.
Yeah.
With ThreatLocker, we found that a lot of the time, if people used to say with allow listing or whitelisting or whatever you call it, a lot of the time it just doesn't work. It's too hard to implement. Stuff gets blocked. People are going to be unhappy. So we made a 100-day plan in your office. So it's really not that difficult. If you just deny by default, allow by exception, it is possible to implement zero trust cybersecurity in your company. Much, much, much easier than many people think. And we will go over things that you do in ThreatLocker, but you can use other tools for these. We have a platform. It's nice, simple, easy to use, but a lot of it can be accomplished with others. Some of it is unique to us, like ring fencing, but we'll go over that. One of them is disable macros in Microsoft Office. You will probably have some pushback from finance on this. And if finance needs access to macros, that's okay. You can allow finance to have access to macros, but you really should block it for people that don't need it. Your front desk, your marketing, they probably really don't need those Excel macros. Finance, you make that exception for them, block it for everybody else. Really simple. Those instructions are how to do it through group policy, or with ThreatLocker, you just select the policy and enable it. Another is enabling a password protected screensaver. Super important. You never want to leave a computer unlocked. That is just easy way for attackers to get onto a computer and do anything. So just set that password protected screensaver, and it'll auto lock and won't be able to be accessed.
And I think that is such a great thing, just because you think about the fact that you walk away from your workstation, you might just get up and you don't do a Windows L to lock it, and with it being set for a short period of time to automatically lock with no activity, I think is a great way. Recently, I was in a couple of hospital systems in which I walked by a computer that was unattended, and it was unlocked, had patient information up on the screen. And so it was a scenario where, as a person in cybersecurity, I thought it was my duty to notify their compliance team. And, and they gave me some background as far as, they were going through some changes within the organization from an IT and compliance perspective. And they were very grateful for me to let them know, but they were surprised themselves that it didn't auto lock their screen. And, just a great way. Let's take that off the, shoulders of the end user, so that if they do walk away, 20 seconds later, whatever the case may be, that screen is locking.
Yeah, and that's why with ThreatLocker, we have that configuration manager where a lot of smaller businesses or hospitals, MSPs, you're having to manage a lot of different domains, and you can easily miss just setting a certain policy on one. With configuration manager, any endpoint that has it will get those policies applied, so you don't have to worry about which domain it's in and if you've applied it across all of them.
That's great. Yeah.
This other favorite one of ours, Windows calls it getting to know you, and effectively it's a Windows keylogger. So definitely disable that. There's just no real need for it. Deny by default, allow by exception. There's no reason for a keylogger. MFA, everybody by now should absolutely have MFA on all of their accounts, no matter what it is. Just enable MFA. You probably have an authenticator app, really simple to set up, multiple out there. Try not to use SMS if possible. That's the phone-based one where it'll send you a text. Those are fairly insecure. It's better than nothing. If that's your only option, okay, use it. But you really do want to use something else if possible.
And I know people, are always looking at that and saying, "Wow, you're making me jump through one more hoop." And and my answer is always, the easier we make it on ourselves, the easier we're making it for bad actors. And so, unfortunately, we are living in the world that we have to take these type of precautions to protect our organizations.
Yeah, and no matter how much you tell people to not reuse passwords, and you really should not be reusing passwords, people do. It's an
Yeah.
unfortunate reality, and that's the thing that we look at with ThreatLocker is it's not just how can I say what's the best thing to do. It's, hey, the most secure computer, you just unplug it from the internet, and it's great. But that's not really realistic. You have to take the business needs and match them, and then be as secure as possible. Zero trust isn't about blocking everything; it's about allowing what's needed and blocking everything else.
Exactly.
Another really important thing to do on especially servers is to turn on BitLocker. If you don't have BitLocker enabled, attackers can mount virtual hard disks, easily exfiltrate data, remove security tools, boot in safe mode. There's just no reason to not have BitLocker, at least on your servers. You should have it on workstations as well, but day one, do it on your servers. Most companies don't know what applications are running in their environment. You might think you do, but whenever we install ThreatLocker in an organization, we generate something called a software health report. With that, it'll just give you a rundown of what applications are running in the environment, where they're from, risk levels, stuff like that. 9 times out of 10, a company will have several remote desktop applications like TeamViewer, AnyDesk, Parsec, things like that, and they won't even know about it. someone will have installed it, and for personal use. Even at my old job, actually, one of my coworkers installed POSEC so that he could play video games during work on his home computer. So he would connect from his workstation to his home computer and play video games. IT had no clue. We had several other application control software in place, but IT just didn't know about it. So you want to block that untrusted software, prevent applications from talking to each other. That's another big one where some applications you just need, and that's okay. PowerShell, it's incredibly strong, and IT almost certainly is going to need PowerShell at some point. But you shouldn't just give them free reign in PowerShell. You should allow PowerShell to run, but don't let it launch certain applications or only let it touch certain files. No reaching out to the internet. Things like that will really cut down that. Even if something does get compromised, you limit what happens. You have to know what's running in your environment. In ThreatLocker, this is what the screen will look like. For 7-zip, you'll see that it's compression software, it's missing some updates, and a country of influence for it is Russia. You may not know that, but if you look it up, it is true, actually. And it's not that certain countries, we're not making a value judgment on what countries are good or bad. It's just giving you the information. And then if you want to avoid or go with certain countries, that information is available for you. We have here unblocking that untrusted software. Aucload, very, very, very popular nowadays for encryption. Don't let it run. If you do need it to run, restrict it heavily and only allow it to touch the files that you need. You should deliver applications. Don't just make it block everything and then the user is left to figure out what they're allowed to run. Give them a user store, empower them to download the application they need. If I download a PDF viewer.exe and it gets blocked, well, I need to view this PDF. What do? You give them, say, hey, instead of this random PDF viewer.exe, your company has approved Adobe Acrobat. It's already provisioning the license for you, and it'll deal with everything. As a user, that is huge. I don't have to wait for IT to approve an application, deny it, come tell me why. I have to go figure everything out. I get to do it myself, and users, if they're able to do that, usually really, really enjoy that.
Yeah, I think a lot of times end users feel as if IT has control over everything. They don't allow me the capability of doing anything that I really like to do. But when you open things up like this, I think they ease back a little bit and they feel as if we've given them some ability to do things on their own, and they enjoy that.
Yeah, people like to have a bit of control, and not in a bad way, but just they don't want to feel like you're restricting them and stopping them from being able to do what they want. And that's the real focus with this, is without tanking your approval rating. It doesn't matter if you want to be as secure as possible and you make everyone in the company mad and no one wants to implement those policies. You have to take away what's not needed, but then give them what they need. Prevent that application interaction. This application does not need access to C script, Windows 4 files, PowerShell. These are some really commonly abused tools that applications don't need access to. If I'm using Microsoft Word, what's the point of having command prompts, it being able to launch command prompt, launching PowerShell? And this often comes up with macros where hopefully by now you've disabled them, but for your finance team that maybe they couldn't block the macros. If you really lock down that Microsoft Word, it'll really limit the impact of a malicious macro. Taking away administrator rights, it is very important, but a lot of people think that administrator rights are kind of the end-all be-all, where if you block and take away those administrator rights, they can't install software. They can, and they will. You do not need administrator rights to run ransomware. We recently hosted a webinar. It was Rob, our chief product officer, and I. We had 5 pieces of live ransomware. none of them needed administrator rights. If they had administrator rights, they could do more damage, but it encrypted our entire system. Personally, that's still pretty, that's enough damage that I still care about it. So that's why you
Yeah.
still do really need to block those untrusted softwares. But taking administrator rights does still limit your attack surface.
Yeah, and it's really amazing. When you go down that route, um, you know, hopefully we're not seeing a whole lot of this today, but unfortunately, it still happens. You walk into a new account, new prospect, and there is no IT management protocols in place, and they've got issues all over the board. The number of tickets and problems that they have are all over the place. And as you start locking things down and just going down this first route, the number of issues that they've had, how they go away when you limit that access.
Yeah.
First and foremost, that's one of the greatest things. And yeah, sure, people don't like it in the beginning, but as the issues that they've experienced with their workstations across the board diminish, they start to see that there's a reason for it.
Yeah, and doing zero trust, it will just streamline the process of everything. Instead of everyone having 10 different applications to accomplish a single task, there's one application, everyone knows where to go. It will reduce overhead over time. At the start, it does take a bit of work to set up, but once it's going, it is great. But we spoke about how you should be removing those admin rights, but I'm sure everyone has dealt with a program at some point that just refuses to run without administrator rights. It could have been built 20 years ago and there's been no development on it since, and this tool is just required by the business. We understand that can happen. So give those administrator rights as they're needed. If I need an application to run as an administrator, I don't want to have to contact IT to come run it for me. And I shouldn't have to have a whole account in order to do that. Just I use my standard user and then I run it as administrator with this policy in place. It elevates automatically. Users really like to have that control, like I was saying. Dealing with the network, this is where you really have to be careful. Don't allow remote connections if they're not required. Use dynamic ACLs, block those inbound connections unless required. But we have block SMB ports by default. According to Microsoft, ransomware, they have over 70% of ransomware involves remote encryption. If you block SMB ports, that's going to block a lot of that encryption. Block RDP ports. You probably are going to need RDP for your IT department to connect to computers. Again, that is totally okay. Give them a dynamic ACL so that wherever IT is, they can remote in and connect, but then everything else is denied by default. Don't just open RDP to the internet. Don't leave it up to your IT department to open up RDP and then hopefully close it when they're done. It's happened before. Danny's told the story a bunch where there was a company, they said, yeah, we have RDP blocked. Turns out though, one of the IT engineers had misconfigured it where they had opened up their port at home so they could connect from home to the computer at work, and then their home one was open. So we could just see right in and get the login prompt. Now, we didn't have the credentials to get in, but like I said, passwords are unfortunately reused all the time. It's just a matter of time if they can get to that login screen. Block outbound network traffic on servers, super important. Any one of our customers that was using us and network control during that SolarWinds Orion breach a couple of years back, it blocked that attack because if you were using it properly, that outbound connection was just blocked. It wasn't needed, denied by default. We didn't have to react. We didn't have to get up at 2 a.m. and make a policy, oh no, everything's on fire, block this malware. It's just done. It's blocked by default. And anything that you will have some sort of outbound traffic that's needed on the computer, that's okay. Allow it, but don't go allowing everything. Controlling access with ring fencing, that's that thing that I was saying, it is unique to ThreatLocker. It's locking down PowerShell from accessing other applications, C scripts, run DLLs, things like that. Super, super important. Can't go without it. There's that network access where PowerShell, you might need it to access a GitHub repository or a script repository that you have online. Totally okay. Give it that access, but then block everything else. It doesn't need access to some Azure ADs or some Azure computers and Google Dropbox and Bucket and all of those. It's a great way. We have a demo that we show all the time. PowerShell is a fantastic tool at data exfiltration. Nothing has to get downloaded. Just using PowerShell by itself, we data exfil everything. Workstations should have a deny by default inbound. Like I was saying, it's kind of the opposite of servers. Servers, you block most outbound, allow a bit of inbound. Workstation, you block most inbound, allow some outbound. Workstations are typically going to be doing outbound traffic, Google, things like that, email. But block that RDP, block that access. No one should really be connecting to your workstations unless they're IT. With ThreatLocker, all you have to do is deploy an agent. Pretty simple. One agent to do everything on the machine. There's not 20 different agents to manage for each module that we have. And then you will get the unified audit. It is a centralized log that contains everything going on your endpoint. That includes policy actions like a file execution, a file read, write, the details, the SHA, the cert, everything about it. So you can A, use it to see what's happening, but B, you can use it to look back, do a forensic analysis. If anything does happen, you can see what happened, why, who did what, and do a lot of analysis with us. We do also have a syslog ingester, so you don't have to have just the information provided by us. You can also import information from whatever you have, Cisco Meraki devices, anything else that sends syslog, we can ingest.
It's a great comment here from Sean saying ThreatLocker is a great company. Been using them for over 4 years. Absolutely the best support with the response typically under 1 minute. And I will say I was at your corporate office and super amazed about the attention to detail on getting those calls answered so quickly. I've seen your dashboards everywhere, and that's a fire alarm. When those calls come in, you guys treat it like a fire alarm. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Like more specific to ThreatLocker, it is really, really nice. We do have that support. We average well under 60 seconds. The thing with our support as well is Danny, our CEO, he is very, very, very customer focused. He does not want if the support cannot resolve the issue or replicate the issue on the call, he wants it escalated until it reaches him. If it's 2 a.m., 3 a.m., whatever it is, and it happens, if he needs to get called at 3 a.m. to hop on a call and help, he'll do it. And it's not just that everything goes to him, but it's that's kind of his philosophy, and the company really does take that to heart. It's amazing, and we're all in the office, Orlando, Florida. That's where our support team is located. When there was a hurricane, I believe a year or two ago, we had our infrastructure and some of the support team fly out to our Irish office to have business continuity. But we're all real humans, under 60 seconds or less. If you have any issues and you don't want to do a chat or whatever, they'll hop on a Zoom call and like work through the issue with you. They are fantastic. But like I was saying about
Danny is truly one of a.
Yeah, no, it's really nice, and working for him as he's the CEO, it is crazy to me seeing him on the front lines with us all the time. At my old company, I think I saw the CEO twice. I don't know if I ever said a word to him, and that was expected. That's normal at most companies. With Danny, if there's ever any issue, he will go over to dev, help debug it, go with support. He doesn't leave until everything's working, and it's great. He's technical. He was an ethical hacker for years, so he really knows what hackers think, how they work, and it's really, you can tell with the company. It's a great place to work, and I love when I get to speak with customers because they tell me how good it is, and it's nice as I sit as a software engineer, special project engineer in the back more, where it's hard to really tell how the product is, but hearing firsthand from the customers how much it helps them, it helps them sleep at night. I love hearing stories like that, and like that comment from Sean
Yeah.
Scott. It's I hear that all the time, and it really helps me speak about ThreatLocker because I know that what I'm saying is true. It's backed up by customer testimonials all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, that is great.
With your applications, you should have applications and you should update them. Many breaches and a lot of the common attack vectors are not some new 0 day that was made up, and it's someone using an old CVE. There was an exploit that came out months, weeks, years ago, and they're exploiting it. If you don't update your application, it doesn't matter that there's a new security update on it because you haven't updated it. Don't don't just try and go, oh, n-1 or n-2. Keep it up to date. Roll out the patches in a controlled manner. Put it in a test group. Verify it yourself. You don't want to go on an old version because old versions either have known bugs, security issues. There's a reason why a new version came out. So make sure to stay up to date. And you can even set time periods for it, where with the reporting for missing updates, it will tell you what's out of date, but you can say, hey, I'm not comfortable updating the day that an update comes out. I want to wait 3 business days or 3 days to just make sure that whatever update came out isn't going to break everything. And then after 3 days, it will get pushed to my test group. 7 days after that, it'll go to my organization as a whole. That is a great way to handle your updates and just see what is up to date. Web content filtering. A lot of companies have either DNS filtering or they don't have any sort of filtering at all. DNS filtering is good at blocking things. However, it's not very user-friendly at all. It will just throw an error page and the user won't really know what happened. Why am I blocked? Is the web page broken? Is it my computer? What's happening? With web control, you can just, with a flip of a switch, block the categories that you don't want. So you might say, I will block malicious sites, explicit content, and advertising trackers, and then I'll allow everything else. You can also, though, make exceptions. So if you want to also block LLMs and AI tools, you can block that. But then if your company has chosen a certain AI tool or product to allow, you just make a policy above that to allow it, and that AI tool will be allowed and everything else is blocked. It's like a firewall, but the really cool thing about it is that there's a request page. So if someone does get blocked, they get told, hey, this was blocked by ThreatLocker. If you'd like to have this unblocked, input a reason here. That can go to you and you can get it unblocked in under 60 seconds. Super easy to deal with. It's something every company should have. When we first were developing this product, you would be amazed at the websites that people were going to on their company machines. I actually helped in the development of some of the content filtering, and some of the lists I was given, I had to double check that these were lists that a computer with our agent had visited. It wasn't just some random list that we had purchased online. And we did also look at other lists as well of websites, but ones that company devices were visiting, block those that you don't want. We have, I believe, about 30 categories, and then make those exceptions above. Once you
Yeah, and
get that,
especially when you take a look at the AI tools, I mean, let's face it, AI is here to stay. It's everywhere. It's making cybersecurity even more critical. And let's face the reality: curiosity killed the cat, and people want to, leverage those tools, not to be malicious, but just try to make their jobs easier. But it can cause problems.
yeah, it's a lot of people will think, oh, I can put my code on here. I can copy and paste this. Oh, I'm writing an email. Let me just ask ChatGPT on the best way to word it. They don't know, though, that whatever company they're using is getting that data. If you're asking it to help you write an email on a report that you have, well, you're probably giving it the report or the background information for that report, and now it has that. If it helps you
Yeah.
code, it now has your code. And no matter how secure they are, I'm not comfortable, at least, with putting all of our source code in the hopes of another company that they won't get breached or won't steal it or whatever it is that you think might happen with it. Um,
Right.
if you have a particular company, great. If you trust them, fantastic. Allow that, but you shouldn't just allow everybody to have free reign on whatever AI and LLM tool they want. That's just not the best way. Data exfiltration
Yeah.
is happening. It's happening in major companies. There was a couple of years ago, Amazon, I believe there was a report about how they believed that people were uploading sensitive information because I believe it was ChatGPT had started to essentially know the internal processes of the company, where you could ask it a question and it knew the answer that only should be internal. The only way to get that is
Yeah.
by people telling it.
Yeah. Or think about it from this perspective of you haven't locked down PowerShell and you haven't locked down the ability for someone to get to an AI tool, and you have admin rights turned on, and people try to be their own detective, their own, technical hero, and they're chat GPTing a solution. Find a PowerShell script, learn how to get into PowerShell, execute that script, and boom, the worst thing possible happens. And scary.
Yeah, and there was even a story a couple weeks ago where someone was using an AI tool to help make a business, and essentially they had told it to have a code freeze. No code should be pushed. What it did was drop the entire database,
Mm,
and it's just
yeah.
the entire work was gone. And just be careful with AI tools. People need to know that it's not this invulnerable thing that will tell you everything and always be correct. Show caution. Only use ones that you trust. This web page here, we
Yeah.
have our web control. It'll kind of tell you what's happening in with web control, what users are getting blocked often. No one likes getting blocked. Uh, at least I don't. If I want to go to a website that I should be allowed to go to, I don't want to get blocked. So you can kind of see if there's certain users that are either getting blocked too much, they're getting the rules are not permissive enough for them, or maybe they're a problem user. Maybe you or someone on your team should be talking to them about what websites they're visiting. You can see what web control policies are getting hit a lot. So if you implement that AI blocker and suddenly you start seeing a whole bunch of that policy get spiking up in the block list, well, you know that there's a lot of people that are trying to use those AI tools. Maybe direct them to the one that you're using, that you've approved. Give users the access to files, but you should always audit for change. So what that means is if I am in finance, I should be allowed to access my files. That's totally normal. But if I'm accessing 200 files in 5 minutes, that's pretty suspicious. there's something going on. Either I'm trying to steal the data or I'm trying to encrypt something. There's no real reason for me to be editing 200 files in a few minutes. So give them that access that they need, but then put in a policy that might say, if you access X amount of files within 5 minutes, block all admin tools or restrict them from the internet. Really, whatever is the most restrictive that you can do while your team responds. You don't want to set it so that, oh, the machine will just completely stop and isolate it completely where nothing will run, but block those admin tools, close out those trouble applications. If IT has access to PowerShell, and that's fine, but if they're doing suspicious things, maybe restrict PowerShell until it's been reviewed, until you can make sure that that is a legitimate use case. Stop that data exfiltration. It is really not that hard to make policies that will react to bad behavior. This is a backup to that zero trust. Zero trust is all about blocking what's not needed by default. But defense in depth, everyone should have it. Have an EDR backup, MDR backup. If you're not managing those alerts 24/7, you may as well not be getting those alerts when you're not responding. Have that MDR to alert you to, hey, we see ransomware currently executing in this environment, or at least attempting to execute on the environment. Give users the alternatives. Give them that control. Let them have some authority, and they will thank you. Have that full endpoint detection and response. Have MDR if you need. It'll tell you what alerts are getting, what devices are getting alerted on a lot, what assets, the outcomes, if it's being cleared, actioned on, what's happening. This is what the Threat Locker Detect Alert Center looks like. It is getting actually updated soon, but we have threat levels. So it might not be that suspicious if your IT elevates PowerShell. But if they're elevating PowerShell and running 7-zip and accessing a bit too many files at once, well, that is pretty suspicious. So we have a threat level that will increase, and then you can set a threshold. So if the threat level exceeds 300, lock the computer, block those admin tools. We have a managed detection and response team. Great guys. You can use them for whatever you want. I won't be testing them here, but if you look at some of our other webinars that we have, we run some ransomware, it gets blocked by Threat Locker, but then the MDR team calls usually very, very quickly, within minutes, alerting Danny to the failed attempt to run ransomware. We recently released Defense Against Configuration, known as DAC. Misconfigurations are probably the #1 way that people get breached or a cyber incident happens. You can have Threat Locker, you can have everything in the world, all the protections in place, but if you just allow everything, you misconfigure something, you're not as protected as you should be. Threat Locker DAC, it runs daily or on demand, and it will go through, I believe we're over 170 checks. We're adding more every week, and it'll be common misconfigurations. One of which could be, hey, with the end of date for Microsoft coming by for Windows 10, hey, you're running out of date operating systems. Or MISTA, MSHTA, that's not blocked or ring fenced. Don't just allow it with full reign.
I think that's great. I just wanted to point out, as more and more MSPs are just strapped for time, the ability to have a tool like that to essentially be an extension of your team is phenomenal. And, anything that we can do to find ways that, something that needs to be configuration change or things that are missing, that's an incredible way for us to be able to just expand our services, cross our T's, dot our I's, and make sure that we're covering the backs of our clients.
Yeah, and it's great. People can make mistakes. That's okay. But
Yeah.
this is just that double check. We also have a severity rating with it. So, this is a low priority. You should still review it, look at it, make sure. And if that's an acceptable risk to you, that's okay. We're just going to let you know about it. Then we have critical, where it's, hey, you have RDP open to the internet. This is critical. You should be fixing this right now. And the other great thing is, for any checks that are failed, you just click it and you will actually see, it'll give you a recommendation on how to fix that. And then as well, it'll tell you what potential compliance violations you could have if you don't follow it. So it's super, super useful. It's free. There's no cost to it. Just any ThreatLocker customer will have access to DAC. As soon as you log in, front and center, you'll see it. That way, just make sure we have solution engineers. They'll go through, help you set up your environment, but this will just give you every week a report telling you, hey, this is how secure you are. And if you configure everything correctly, you can then take that to customers, businesses, owners, whoever, and show them, hey, this is what's wrong in your environment, and this is what it could look like. The ThreatLocker platform as a whole, we have allow listing, ring fencing, elevation control, storage control, network control, detect, configuration manager, community. We have lots and lots of products, all one agent. You don't have to install multiple. It's fairly lightweight. I believe our minimum requirements are like 2 cores and a gigabyte of RAM or something to that effect. I think we usually are under half a gig of RAM in use and 1 core. Very lightweight. We have a Linux agent, Windows XP, Windows Server, and Mac. So any real computing device that you have, we will probably have an agent for it. There's the web control, patch management, insights, cloud control. Definitely great things to check out. Last thing I have is Zero Trust World 2026. That is happening in Orlando, March 4th to 6th. If anyone wants to come on out to it. If you pass your Cyber Hero certification exam there, you get your ticket refunded. Great way. It's not just, it's not a way for us to make money. It's a way to get the community out, learn about ThreatLocker, network, communicate with people, and learn about Zero Trust. Not just about ThreatLocker, how to protect yourself.
And I can attest to that. I was at Zero Trust World this past year, and I was doing some podcasting for you guys there, and it was an incredible event. The thing that blew me away was the Hacker Lab and the line. I mean, the line looked like going into the Hacker Lab was like the new iPhone coming out, and this mile-long line of people getting into the lab, but that hands-on learning and the rubber ducky training session and all that was just was great. And the thing I loved about it was just the hands-on aspect. I mean, all conferences are great to be able to learn, but the hands-on components, really allow you to experience it in a different way versus just more theory. So I think that's great that you guys incorporate that. And so that is awesome. And, I really appreciate your time. I want to say a big thanks to you, Kieran, for all of your knowledge and just breaking through, all the noise that comes from cybersecurity. Sometimes it's a complicating topic, but it doesn't have to be. So we got to defend smarter and focus on all aspects of that. I mean, whether it's disabling macros, removing admin rights, using tools like ring fencing, your new DAC, all these are just some great practical steps to help move the needle in protecting our clients. Because at the end of the day, that is what it is all about. And so, Kieran, thank you for taking your time to share those insights with us, giving our MSP community, a clear, actionable advice today. And for everybody that's joined us, I want to thank you for spending time with us too as well. Be sure to go out to YouTube, and I did include a link in the comments. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have some 38,000 other MSPs that are following us, and we have constant, education and great sessions like this. So with that being said, everyone, thank you very much. Until next time, we will talk to you soon. Take care.